Hi guys, so today I'm going to cover an introduction to fabric painting. This is another video request. Um, I think fabric painting is a great way to easily add your personal style to your wardrobe. I'm going to show you just the basic things that you're going to need and also a couple things that I highly recommend. So, obviously the first thing you're going to need if you're going to start fabric painting, you're going to need fabric paint. This particular brand that I use is Tulip. It's a pretty common brand available at most craft stores. Each of these bottles were, I believe it was about $5 a bottle, maybe six. That's not very bad for this size either. This is a 4-ounce bottle. To start, if you're just starting out and you want to keep your costs down, this is what I recommend you do. Buy your bottle of black and white because you really can't mix those. And then just buy your primary colors, red, blue, and yellow, and then mix your colors from there. Um, there's some colors, bright neon-y colors, so if you want a color like that, by all means, um, go ahead and buy that. I like buying the bigger bottles like this. I think it's a better deal, but you can get packages that have a bunch of colors in them. I'm not really sure what those run. I think they run maybe 12 to 14, $15. But this is a really good deal. You can also buy smaller bottles like this. I think this is what most people are used to when they see fabric paint. This is a 1-ounce bottle. Um, these have a lot more color choices, I think, if you want to buy more colors. Um, this is this just says dimensional fabric paint. I believe this is just a cheap brand. I also have some from Plaid. This is oh, this is from Plaid too, I think. Yeah, I think these are both from Plaid. They're another popular brand. I do have this brand from Folk Art. This is another Plaid product, but this is called, it says Folk Art on the top. These are all very good. I especially like this one. It's very thicker. It's thicker paint. I think you need less coats. This is very shiny. And that's the thing with fabric paints. A lot of times they're very shiny, but you can buy. This particular color is a purple I have. It's a matte color. And then this black that I have, again, these are from Tulip. This is a velveteen paint, and what it is you paint your design. If you hit it with an iron, it will make a texture that's a lot like velvet. So there is different kinds and things that you can buy, but I think starting out, you're just better off to go with the regular old dimensional fabric paint. No, shimmers or glitters unless you really want them. You can get glittery stuff. I have a couple. I think both of these actually have shimmer in them. So, there's a lot of different choices. So you'll definitely want to start out with your fabric paint, obviously. Another thing you're going to want is brushes. You want synthetic brushes. Let me stop and tell you a little bit about brushes here. Not all brushes are created equal. What you want for fabric painting are these synthetic brushes, also known as acrylic brushes. These are synthetic bristles, and they are not going to soak up the paint. They're very, very smooth. They're going to make your painting a lot easier. It's going to go on, glides on like butter. Very nice. I would stay away from these two kinds of brushes. These are natural hair brushes. As you can see, these bristles on this particular one, the bristles are very coarse. It's not going to give you a smooth coat. All the paint is going to get sucked up into these bristles. These are actually oil painting brushes. And these also have a tendency to shed very much. These here synthetic brushes, they have a very, very low shedding rate, so you're not going to have little hairs all over your painting surface. So this is another synthetic brush. Again, you can see how very coarse the bristles are. You don't want a brush like this. You can usually tell synthetic brushes because they either have white bristles or they're going to have like this yellowish tan bristles. If you're having problems finding these brushes, you can ask somebody at the craft store. I'm sure they will know what you're talking about. You just tell them that you want synthetic acrylic brushes. They'll be able to help you out there. But you can definitely tell that they're synthetic. They're very smooth. They're unnaturally colored. These are the kind of brushes you want. So you'll want your brushes. You got your paint, you've got your brushes. Another thing you're going to want to begin with, you're going to want stencils. This is just a stencil I printed off the internet. I printed it off on regular computer paper. I just colored it in yellow because I don't like yellow. So it's a good use of paint. But anyway, I just painted this so it seals it, and then the back I actually put um, duct tape on the back. So this is pretty durable. I also cut some. You can cut them out of cardboard, like from shoe boxes. There's a couple bats that I have. So you definitely want to get yourself some stencils. You can pre-buy your stencils. They have them already made at the craft store. But I find they're, to save money, it's just easier printing them off the internet. Around this time of year, if you're looking for spooky, scary stuff, you can find a lot of that in the Halloween sections of the craft stores. Although if you want to do any kind of stenciling for words, I would recommend you buy the actual word stencils. It's a lot easier. It's less cutting out than you would do. I mean, this was so easy to cut out, as you can see. It's very simple. So, something else. Let's see. You're going to want some kind of palette or little cups like this to hold your paint and your water. These cups I bought at the grocery store a long time ago. I have a bunch of them. But they sell little palettes at the craft store in the art supply section. They're very cheap. I think you can get a palette with 6 wells, and it's $1 or $2, so it's very affordable. You need a palette for your paint. You're going to need, obviously, fabric to paint on, and not all fabrics are created equal. The best fabric for fabric painting is pre-stretched 100% cotton. Just like a regular cotton t-shirt, I have one right here. Just a plain cotton t-shirt. So this will be the most ideal fabric to paint on. As you can see, it says 100% pure cotton right there. You can paint on other fabrics. Excuse me. For instance, I have here, I just painted this skirt here. It's my little skull. This is a velour. I'm not sure if the camera is picking this texture up, but it's very hard to paint on velour. You won't get it completely opaque because the little textures, the texture of the fabric really affects how the paint will come out. So you can paint on things like velour and silk and things like that. Just note that not all fabrics are created equal. Here's a piece of, I think this is like a linen that I painted on here. And you can see all of that, like how that comes out. This linen is actually very nice, but not a lot of people wear linen. So I actually have a couple other scraps here to show you just for comparison. This is another piece of velour. Again, this is one coat. It doesn't come out very well. You can sort of see I painted black onto it too. I would say stay away from painting velour until you are more experienced. Here's just a piece of felt, red felt again with the black and the white painted right on there. So you can paint on just about any fabric, but what I would do is test your fabric before you go and paint a big design on it. I'll show you on the bottom of my sweatshirt here. To test a fabric, what you might want to do is, obviously your clothes are going to have a seam like this. Flip it over to the wrong side. Take a piece of cardboard, because you want a piece of cardboard under anything you paint, so that way your paint doesn't bleed through to the other side. Just paint a small swatch on the seam, on the inside of the seam. See how it stretches, see how well the color goes on, and then you can make a decision whether you want to paint on that. Or if you are painting a piece of fabric, so you can make something, just cut out a small squash. Yes, squash. Cut out a squash. Cut out a small swatch, like I did here. This was just a little scrap fabric. You can try it out. Also do it anytime you try a different brand of paint. Some brands will cover more thoroughly than others, so even if you've painted on a certain fabric, even on a cotton, just kind of test swatch the paint if you're using a different brand than normal or something like that. Sometimes I even notice consistencies differ with different colors, so I would say always make sure you do a swatch test before you go painting on an article of clothing, especially if it's something you really like. You don't want to mess it up. So, let's see. Obviously, like I just said, you're going to need something to slip underneath whatever you're painting. For instance, if I was going to paint this piece of velour, I don't want the paint to go onto the other side. So you want to make sure you have something underneath, like here's a piece of foam, a piece of cardboard, a shoebox, piece of a shoebox, anything to go underneath so the paint does not go through the fabric onto the other side and ruin whatever might be on the other side. So make sure you have something to paint on. Lastly, this isn't required, but I really highly recommend it. This is an embroidery ring that you use for cross stitching. But what I find is sometimes when you're painting a large piece of fabric, it's very hard to hold it taut enough to paint. Sometimes you slip and you miss and you ruin something. So what this is this is two rings. They come apart. And what you're going to do, I think I might be able to show you with this small piece. You just lay your fabric in there, and then you push down the ring. Here, let me get it on camera. You push down the ring, and this will hold your fabric in place. And obviously, if you have a bigger piece of fabric, it's going to hold it taut so that you can then have a easier surface painting on. This also helps too if you're not working on a surface that you don't really, like if you're working on your kitchen table, for instance. This has some height to it when the fabric's on there, because the fabric's going to sit on top. And then you can see you've got some height. That's going to make sure doubly that you're not going through your fabric onto a surface you didn't want to paint on. They're pretty cheap. I actually bought mine from a thrift store. I think it was only 99 cents at a thrift store, so you might be able to pick one up there. If not, they're very cheap to buy, brand new. But I highly recommend getting one of these. You can get them in different sizes. This is a fairly large one. Even a smaller one if you're not going to paint anything very big. I like this size. I think it works well for most anything I'm going to paint. But I highly recommend getting an embroidery ring if you're going to really do some fabric painting, because it helps keep everything together. So to do your basic painting, I think that's all you're going to need. So this concludes my introduction to fabric painting. You can watch the next video where I show you some techniques, my techniques specifically on how I do fabric painting, simple fabric painting. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned a lot. If you have any questions about where to find maybe some of this stuff, if you're having trouble finding it, any questions at all, you can just message me here on YouTube and I will do my best to get back to you. So, love you guys. See you guys later. Bye.